3, 2, 1. Welcome to Breaking Balance. Redefining work, success, and life balance for all sales and marketing professionals. They are international speakers and coaches straight out of Jersey and the home of Spark Tank Media. Here is your host and co-host, Jeff Lobb and Nikki Brand.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jeff Lobb here. Super excited. Breaking Balance. I'm here with Nikki Brand. So awesome to have you. Listen, it's our very first podcast show. Call it that. I think you guys are in for a real treat. This is something we've been working on for a long time. Kind of under the cover a little bit. We'll tell you a little bit more about ourselves. This is kind of our introductory show. But let's first talk about Nikki first. Say hi.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nikki Brand, and I'm happy to be here. I am. I'm happy to be here with you, Jeff. I'm happy to be starting this podcast. I feel like there are a lot of opportunities here that we can talk about. I feel like now is the time, right? Now, the present time is the time to jump into things that could help people, could help others, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, this concept is so needed right now. I mean, I think it's always been needed, but now more importantly to kick this thing off.
Yes.
I think it's really important we kind of share with our new and upcoming audience, like, why breaking balance? Like, what is it about? Who are we going to help? And how are we going to work through this?
Absolutely. I feel like there's a lot to know. Just so the listeners and our viewers out there get a little bit of background about ourselves. You guys probably all know Jeff, and I'm still going to make him give a small resume, but
not everybody. Trust me, this is all new. This is a whole new group right here.
For myself, I'm a mommy of 3. I have 3 small children. I have a 13-year-old daughter, an 11-year-old daughter, and then we have our big miracle child, my son,
the angel of the world.
the angel child, not, and he's 4. So I'm very busy home with the children, but I also work. And before working with you, Jeff, and before I had kids and while I had kids, I hosted the local news for our county for many years. Had like a news magazine where we had to find stories, and I really liked positive news. So I tried to keep most of our news positive. I got the news out to locals. I went to college for that. Yeah. I enjoyed having a television show back when I was in school. A long time ago.
I mean, I looked up to you. I used to watch you on TV in my real estate business. I looked up to you and your stories.
Thank you, Jeff. Honestly, it was a great time, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about speaking, and I learned a lot about people.
Yeah. And
I learned a lot about trusting people and people trusting me. And that was one of the biggest, I would say, ways to get people on camera with me, is they had to trust in me. So yeah. I feel like being transparent is important. And I learned a lot from being on the news for a good almost 20 years. And it was a great experience. And even while I left for a little while, and I worked some PR jobs, and I worked all over the state, and I came back and decided to raise a family. And let me tell you, that's probably the hardest job of all.
Oh, hell
being
yeah.
a stay-at-home mom.
That's why when people say that word, stay-at-home mom, like it's something, like that's like one of the hardest. I mean, we're getting a lot of doses of that right now.
A lot.
For people that used to travel. So
yeah, absolutely. And it's not easy. So I've been home with my kids, trying to balance that. And now I'm here back to work with you, and it feels great. It's exciting. I have a new energy within myself that has just ignited from being here, and it's, I'm pumped. Yeah. Now that's just a little bit about me. Now for those out there who don't know Jeff, okay, Jeff's got a big resume behind him and like a million kids. So tell the audience.
I'm such an introvert when it comes to this stuff. I tell people all the time, like, I hate anything about me, but yeah, I mean, look, this Breaking Balance was about, it's really for the sales and marketing professionals that are out there trying to grind and juggle all this stuff and deal with the pressures of performance and sacrifice My background it's always been sales, even though I've been boxed into these corners, started in real estate. Actually, you know what? One of my first real sales jobs, so many people don't even know this, even my current audience. I used to be in college. I was a sales and marketing consultant in the Caribbean islands.
What?
Yeah. Some people don't know that.
What?
I consolidated my junior and senior year of college. I worked in St. Martin.
Wow.
And I flew down back in the day of Continental Airlines. I flew down for a week. I'd sell advertising space for a radio show.
Wow.
It was the Dick Miller Show. It was based in New Jersey for the Caribbean. And then we took the show to Aruba.
Wow.
So that was sales, like knocking on doors, business to business. There's no book that can teach you that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I evolved through mainly a real estate career. And then spent a lot of time as a broker owner, as franchises and selling and all this good stuff. Took a 10-year hiatus into the .com, the launch of the .com and then the bust of the .com. But it was all corporate sales. It was running sales teams, selling internet products, selling data services, and a lot of our data clients were, Fortune 5s. So we worked with a lot of Fortune 5s. When it all busted and everyone lost everything, we jumped back into real estate, spent some time in the corporate world of real estate as the vice president of tech and marketing for a large franchise brand. And I'm realizing that everything always flows back to sales, no matter what it is. So I am like one of those high D, high I personalities, and performance, sacrifice, and the lack of balance is where we all fall into. So 100%. So here's why we created this. This is the baby of like the fun way to understand and the topics we're going to talk about of, how do we do this better? How do we just do it so we can have more acceptance of our lives? I'll tell you, there's so much guilt some days. I'm used to being on planes every other week. And a lot of now is very, very different. And it might change, but I don't think it's ever going to be exactly what it was, but different for you. Look, different for your life. I mean, your husband's home now. He's not away. I'm not traveling every other week where I'm usually grinding on an airplane. And I'm usually trying to like be on the phone in a hotel room, trying to hear like what my kids accomplished that day, or what game I just missed, or why can't I be a coach daddy kind of a thing.
Right. Well, I think that's it, Jeff. I think like talking about why we would even want to make a podcast like this. I forgot to mention that I'm also a certified life coach.
Yeah, you are.
So in all the midst of working on the news and being a stay-at-home mom and having my bachelor's, I decided I have a passion, like you said, you have this, I have a passion for people.
Yep.
I have a passion for empathy. And I also have a passion of asking questions to get to people's goals, not mine, theirs. So talking about this with Jeff and this opportunity, we started talking about redefining what success really is and what the workplace is and what the life balance is and the topics that were coming up. I mean, there were just so many, because I feel like so many people pre 2020 COVID and post 20 things are changing, but there's this constant feeling still of how the hell do I balance it all? How do I become the professional that I want to be, the parent that I want to be, making the kind of money that I want? How do I balance it all? So, when Jeff and I were talking about this, that's where Breaking Balance was coming in, because we could see that, the word balance, the word that this perfect structured life.
Everyone has the magic life,
right?
Especially like social media. If you look at the magic life,
oh,
of social,
absolutely.
Right? Everyone's living the dream.
Yeah, living the dream. # blessed, right?
Yeah, #
blessed. And listen, we all want that, and there are days and there are moments where you're going to have the # blessed, but overall, man, life's hard. And we got to find those little joys that take us through and try to find those moments of balance that we feel like we can come home at night and rest on our pillows and go, oh my God, I made it. I made it through the day.
And then sometimes you're like, I can't wait till tomorrow. And then you're like, oh, maybe not. Maybe tomorrow's going to be worse than this crap today.
Right. And it's hard. It's hard. That's what got us thinking. And we thought, here we are, sales professional, motivator, all the things that you brought to people's lives, Jeff. You're also a father.
Yeah.
You're also a husband. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like you said, pre 2020, you're on a plane.
Yeah.
You're traveling. You are out and about. And then you come home and you probably got like the fast version of what happened during the week.
Yeah, because I was on vacation for that week because I was in Palm Beach and we had a party and it was a thing and it was a client and we went out to dinner.
Yes.
And everyone in the public universe at home thinks, oh my God, what an amazing thing you just did. I come home, it's like, hey, take out the garbage.
Yeah.
And can you get the grass cut tomorrow morning? Because that stuff's like a hot mess. And it's like, whoa, like I was working. that was work.
Oh my God, this conversation sounds like my husband and I. My husband who would travel to Philly for work, and I would say, you've been by yourself all week, and I've been home with the kids.
Yeah.
And now, and he's like, by myself, I've been working.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure a lot of our viewers out there are listening, going, oh my God, I can relate to this.
Yeah.
This is how my wife is and my husband is. And how do we survive that without killing our spouse half the time? It's that understanding of balance in your marriage and then into the workplace, knowing that a business trip was business and it wasn't just pleasure and fun.
Yeah.
But the person who's home doesn't always feel like that, right?
No, and they're watching, especially with all the social presence, they're watching your life evolve in front of them. Mm-hmm. And I guess sometimes I, in all fairness, don't put myself in that perspective either, saying, what if it was me sitting home watching, like, who you're at the dinner with? And, oh, you're at this big event and you're, I see you in meetings and lunches. Oh my God, you had a steak, you at this big steakhouse.
Yes.
If it was me, I guess I'd be like really pissed.
You might be ticked,
like,
man.
What the hell?
Right.
I'm home like grinding with kids, screaming and yelling in school. And,
right. So I think that's a good point to bring up is, and this is the life coach in me says, what would it be like if we could role reverse for a moment in our lives and in our marriages? Could we find more balance? Could we find more stability when it came to just trying to understand what the other person was going through? If you were away thinking about, man, my wife is home this week doing a lot.
Yeah.
And it must be annoying seeing me with this big, beautiful, like tiki hut drink with clients. Yeah. Well, she's out at practice till late at night cold.
Yeah.
And those are some of the things pre-COVID that a lot of us had to deal with.
Yeah, but my perspective, and it always is, because not that I don't have any of the balance, but the sales mentality, me always wanting to be the best, always got to be different, always got to be, whether you're on the road or in a car or stuck on a phone in sales, like you're always trying to I need more time, I need more hours, I got to crank out more. If I can spend another hour doing this, and next thing you know, it's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. Even if you're in the same town, you're cranking out to be that top producer. Mm-hmm. And you're maybe making more money than you ever thought you were going to make in some cases. And some people are struggling now, but other people are having the year of their lives.
Absolutely.
And there's always a sacrifice to that year of your life. Financially, something's always suffering on the other side because you're missing something. Mm-hmm. And to me, the biggest thing that hit me most is guilt. Because of the fact that you sometimes realize hey, the only thing I have besides the money I'm trying to make is any memories of what I'm supposed to have. Memories are the only thing you're going to have at the end of the day, right? Memories.
Sure are.
And when you miss them and you feel that, or when you get the young 8 or 9-year-old that says and looks you in the eye, now okay, where the hell is my balance? It doesn't exist. It just doesn't exist.
It doesn't. So, and then it brings you back to, what am I doing? Mm-hmm, yeah. What am I doing it for? And then you start to realize, and I think that brings us right to one of our main topics we want to talk about right now is 2020 and some of the different things that this has brought us. Because Jeff, if we were doing this podcast last year, we would have a different perspective.
Yeah.
I believe that the perspective right now, the change perspective is that you're home.
Yeah.
You can't travel.
That's right.
If someone told you this last year, you'd say, shut up.
Not in hell. I'm getting on a plane.
Shut up.
And I could even get on a plane and go somewhere too.
Right.
It's just they're not available to do that, or it's really not the right opportunity.
And not a lot of places are doing it right now. I mean, they're not hosting the big events anymore. That's most of our things are on Zoom. So 2020 has brought a different perspective to say that the big traveling sales life, the motivator, the speaker, all these things that you've been doing.
Yep.
And, I'd like to ask you, reflecting a little bit on this year, talking to, sales professionals and marketing professionals out there right now who are in that boat with you. What have been some of your small victories? What have been some positives that you could take home from the year?
Well, I think There's a bunch. Most people, I mean, I didn't first until I stop and think about it. I don't see a lot of things as the positive. Sometimes I'm looking into people's eyes on Zoom now.
Right.
We coach top producers, and sometimes half the battle is getting them to see the vision and see some balance and help them either make more money, but at the same time, put more systems in place to make life a little bit easier. But things in perspective, I've seen, and some of it just gets really personal, which I'm okay to share, by the way. Completely transparent. I don't know if this audience knows how transparent we might be.
We're gonna be.
But this is just how it is.
Real.
So a lot of times, we're stuck on Zoom and we're stuck on platforms, and that's stuck. I think it's created a new opportunity, to be honest. This is a new opportunity. And if you've not learned to master the communication this way on these platforms, I think you're going to be missing out, even when it may go back to what's normal. These are small wins here of learning how to connect with people that normally you didn't have. And I know people like, oh, I've been on these platforms a while, but really mastering the platform and presentation skills, I think is lacking.
This is going to be like a resume getter.
100%.
Like this is going to say like, I can run a Zoom meeting is going to be one of these new things.
Yeah. Your presentation skills here need to be like stepped up, game up. But that's just one thing. From a personal thing, I am home a lot more. Yes, I am still working a lot of hours. But I'll tell you, it was the story from a couple weeks ago. I got 2 playing football, 2 younger ones. I got my senior aged son in band, and he's a drum major this year. And, he's dealing with the anxiety of this not happening or happening of a year. And here I was a couple weeks ago in the parking lot of the football field, listening, and football's going on, and I'm listening to a band, which is my son's band, over in the other parking lot. So I decided to just walk over, and usually I wouldn't have this time, like the time doesn't exist.
Right.
And I kind of walked over in the dark, and I'm in the parking lot of the high school, like invisible, behind the scenes. No one knows I'm there. And I stood there for 45 minutes, first of all, watching kids that are so damn committed that no one really respects that level, but they're playing in the dark because they don't have a facility. The COVID stuff won't allow them to do it. And I watched and I say this, the mastery of their leadership, like the mastery of them, like these kids have such respect for their leader and for the person that's running these programs. And I won't drop names here and anything, but I don't know if I need permission to do that stuff. Do we need permission to drop names?
No, I don't think we do, but
the leadership, but listen, it was amazing. And in the dark for 45 minutes, I recorded, and I said, I just felt this thing kind of come over me going, I would never have the chance to listen to this and watch this happen. And it was just like kind of a really just cool moment. And it was just like, I missed like stuff I would be missing that I never knew I missed. And just to watch, because remember, our mindsets from a producing, we're always looking for who's masterful at their art, right? You're masterful. Like we have our own skill sets, and watching the mastery happen behind the scenes with no one watching, and listening to the music and watching the dedication and watching my son get up and do his thing and him taking leadership roles. That was like, I would have never have seen that. I'd have never have seen that. And to me, that was like a special moment. Like that's the time I go, you know what? Holy shit, what am I missing? Like, what am I missing? Oh. And that kind of, it brings tears to my eyes, but that's just like one small snippet of life that I said, you know what? Not because of this COVID pandemic makes it, but sometimes we got to start to look for, where is that opportunity I'm missing? Where do I need to shut up, be quiet, and just be present?
Oh my gosh.
Like Jeff, where? And I'm learning that because I have a hard time doing it.
Well, let me tell you, that story, listening on my end, it really speaks to me, and it really connects to me. And I'm sure it really connects to so many, because what you did was own a moment.
Yeah.
You owned a moment. You made a memory in your life that you can look back on through this year and say, I let myself be present with no lights, in the darkness, with just your senses, with your heart, with your ears.
Yep.
And you listened.
Yep. And it was so not my personality to do that.
Exactly.
And but I can sit here and I remember it vividly. Like normally I can't remember half the things I did yesterday.
Right.
Because we're all moving so fast.
But that
memory stuck. It's embedded.
But that memory stuck. And like you 100%. Just said, most times I don't remember what I did yesterday because I'm constantly in movement.
Yep.
Folks, if there's one thing you can take away from 2020 is that the movement is slower. Yeah. We have slowed down in movement. Maybe your sales are still kicking ass. Maybe you are still making money. But the movement of life, no one can deny it is different. It is slower. And the fact that you got to truly own your moment with your son. He didn't even know you were there in that way,
Nope.
right?
Nope.
The kids didn't know. And there's so many facets to this story. The fact that kids were out in a parking lot in the dark playing music. I could cry talking about it because I feel like that represents so much of this year, is finding your heart, finding your soul, finding things that mean something to you and doing them. Having that come alive. You're finding kids who could be home on their phones and their iPads and screwing off.
Oh, yeah.
And instead, they're in a goddamn parking lot in the dark. Playing music.
Just to have hope there's something left of a season or any season, they have hope. That's
That
all it was hope. And it requires an ego drop too on our part, because our egos are always so like, I'm a jock. It's all about football. It's about this. Like sometimes like that's my thing. But this other thing became really important to me because I never had experience in it, never had any skill at it, still don't. So I appreciate it even more because I never knew the commitment of time people are doing behind the scenes. And that's something we have to look at from a business standpoint too. And maybe that's even a shift, is how many people in your businesses, not even just personal world, are grinding behind the scenes endlessly to keep things going and dealing with all the crap they're dealing with at home and kids and Zooms. And we're not really appreciating that sometimes too. We're not stopping for a moment to say, hey, I really don't know what that person's going through, even though like things are delayed and it should have been done already. And like, we don't take that empathy approach. It's always this anger and anxiety because got to get it done. You're impacting my sales, you're impacting my money. I'm losing this, I'm losing time. And we start getting this anxiety ball. So, when I can get a moment like this, sometimes, and you got to walk away from things sometimes, my phone still worked. I could have made appointments. I wasn't even expected to be there. But sometimes you just got to stop.
Right. And you can look at it from a few of those different angles. You look at it about your own self. Like, I just took a moment. I took a snippet of time in life, because we all know times like this, right?
That's what we got.
And then you see these kids and you see what their hope is. And then you can really put it on the larger scale and talk about that hope that we have in life. And right now, there's so much chaos around all of us. And you got to wonder, why are you doing the things you're doing right now with work, with your family? Why? You got to ask yourself deep down inside yourself, right? Like, what hope do I have? What do I see for my life? Because if you can't look at yourself right now in your life and say, oh my God, like so much can happen. If anyone told Jeff last year you'd be sitting doing a podcast with me because you're not traveling all over, you'd say, this, no. But fangul.
I like it.
But here we are. You just don't know what's going to happen to your life. So these gifted time that we've had this year, right? This gifted different time to think about a different perspective can help you in your life and your business. And we want to tell you this because we see it happening here within ourselves. Yeah. And it is a truthful statement. Jeff, you taking a moment like that with your son, as this is the last time he's going to be leading the charge with this too, right?
That's it. He's on. Yep. Moving on.
If you were in Palm Beach, you would have missed that moment.
You never saw it. Never even knew it existed.
Never knew it existed. And like you said, you would have been too busy trying to get home, to get to the thing so you could see the kid, to tape it, to get on to the next kid's thing.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah, it'd have been just what's next.
What's next? So now having a moment like that in your life, tell me what you could bring that feeling into your work life, like knowing what that did for you, a little moment, that gifted time moment. How does that now help you with your being a sales professional?
Well, I tell you, a lot of the calls we get on, and I think these are some of where we have a lot of, we use like small victories. I use small wins. We call them small wins, whatever it is. It's sometimes we don't see those small little victories, meaning when we get on calls with salespeople that might feel, hey, I'm out on the island. I'm doing this all by myself. I don't feel enough support. I don't feel. So one of the things we do, first of all, is we got to get people to understand that the personal side of you matters in the real estate role or the sales role that you're in. It matters.
It does.
So how do you celebrate your small wins in business to show that you're accomplishing great things? How do you have small wins with your clients? What are those small wins? And when you can talk about them openly, we've got some groups where we have 80 or 90 people on Zoom, like on this, it looks like, Brady Bunch times 10. And we're talking about those small wins from Florida to California to here to there. And all those small wins encourage others to go, I never thought of that, or I never thought of that, or that's a really good idea. And it also does a couple things. It makes you be heard, because we all want to be heard. Shows that you matter, because we care. We want to hear your voice and share what's working for you. Now, of course, there could be a lot of bitch sessions too, and a lot of griping, but not that we can't do that on a call, but the celebration is, how do we let the egos go away for a second? Drop the ego, because the one-on-one calls are the hardest. The egos are hard. You look him in the eye, how's everything? Oh, it's great. We're great. No, come on. I could read your face. It's not great. I could see the stress.
Yes.
That's the beauty of visual communication. Yeah. Like, you can't be on a call and tell me you're great and then be on Zoom.
I see it.
Great, right?
No, absolutely.
So we've got to get them to open up and understand that shit is going to happen. It's okay to have stuff happen. How do we deal with it? So I think the application to business is, how do we understand and celebrate small wins? And I think we need to talk about them. I think we need to celebrate them, because if you just had one small win a day, and I think the one thing we just did recently, which is something probably fits this really strong, is we're reading some of the books, Atomic Habits and some other stuff. And a lot of it comes down to is, instead of trying to make such massive change in your world, because everything's happening right now, what about small change, right? Small change is easier. So when jokingly I'd say, well, what if I said to change 50% of your day? It would screw you up. You can never do it.
Too much.
What if I said, could you change 1% of your day?
Yes.
Like, of course, 1%.
Right.
What is 1% really when you break it down? It's 14 and a half minutes of your day. So you go, oh, that sounds like nothing. So here's the question I pose to people. What could you do? What could you do if you said, I'm going to give you 14 and a half minutes, 15 minutes of your day to do something different, to do something for yourself, to do something to change your business or your life? And we've had people going, I could probably run 2 miles in 15 minutes. I could jump on my Peloton, or I could sit and read to my child. I could wake up early and have a cup of coffee and plan my day better.
And quiet.
Could do. So what could you do with your 1% of your day to celebrate? That's a small win.
Yes.
And if you just did it every day, look at the multiplying effect of that.
Couldn't agree more, Jeff.
Right. So that's how we apply this to business and the sales.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great way to segue into that. Thinking about that small win you had, that was a big one, right? Because I really believe that those little small things end up being the big things in life, right? They really end up being the big ones, besides the, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. I'm getting married.
Oh God, let me hear that word.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Exactly. Like, those are those big, like, oh, I got the big job. The little wins are those big wins. And you hearing your son play music in the dark, you'll take that with you.
That was bigger than a small win, but that was a win. Yeah. No, well, what about your chaos though? Like,
I have a lot of it.
Like, and first, always question is it organized chaos or just chaos? Well,
it's both. Yeah. And because the organized chaos would mean that I probably have, like, to me, the word organized and chaos, it just makes me laugh, because, I've got, a teenage daughter now, I've got my middle, and then I've got my son. And then a very highly executive level husband.
And you have very big drivers in your family, like very competitive personalities in your family.
Yes.
They compete at high levels. They're competing at executive levels.
Yes.
So that's, and including yourself.
We have a lot going on. We have a lot going on. And then, I have found in my own way, like, I've had a lot of small wins, small victories this year that have added up, because there's many ways I could have looked at this year. I know that I definitely would look at my children and say, so much gifted time, but especially for my husband, because he was the one traveling, just like you. He was going into, Philadelphia every single day. So for him and I, and the balance of marriage, all of a sudden now we're home together.
Yes.
We're both cooking. We're both cleaning. We're both doing everything around the house because we're both home.
Yeah.
And it's been nice to have a partner who is not on the road all the time. And it's been nice for my kids. It's been nice for all of us. Now, listen, I also have now started to work myself again because, look, I worked all up until my pregnancies. I did some things while I was pregnant and my life coaching while I had kids at home. But now trying to balance getting out of the house every day.
Yeah, doing
right?
our thing. Yeah,
doing our thing. It's some days it's fun. It's funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
Well, I say this.
Some
I used to say this a lot, like publicly, and we talked about like when you're trying to plan your day from a performance mentality. Like if you're going to get on the phone and have engaging conversations, you got to have some energy. You gotta
Yes.
So I said, half the time if you have kids, and I have 6, you got 3, like your day could be shot mentally before 9:00.
Absolutely.
Like burnt. You're already like, I want to kill somebody. How do you do the reset so that you put on that smile and get yourself I've got to make these prospecting calls. I've got to set up more clients. I've got to meet with clients, but not be mentally destroyed before 9:00 because you are. Right. So you've got to find a switch.
Absolutely. And for me, the switch has been, so far the kids being able to go to school, which is, the verdict's out.
Yeah.
And then between that, it's truthfully, it's listening to some good music on my way in, a really strong cup of coffee. And to me, I have my own personal space alone working. And I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. And, for the people out there, you've got your sales professionals and then you've got, you're also your stay-at-homes who are saying, how can I jump back into the workplace and how can I make it work? You can. There's always a way. And I mean that truly, if you want something, you can make it happen. Doesn't matter what it is. No. And I truly believe that in life, whether you want to lose a ton of weight, whether you want to, travel the world, whether you want to buy the things you want to get, it's all possible. And I truly believe that. And that's not some hokey shit. That's like,
no, because everyone wants a side hustle. And
there are ways if you want to make stuff happen. And for me, like the organized chaos in my life is my husband and I have to work together. We have to figure it out. And if I was a single mom, I would have to figure it out.
Yep.
And that's just it. It's like plain and simple. It's black and white. If I want it, I'm going to do it. And I want it. So I'm doing it.
100%. Single mom, single dad, no matter, single person.
You can make it work. Right. And so having 3 kids and like you said, high level, like we travel for this sport and that sport. And my husband's like, a very demanding job and we make it work. And there are days where, I may have a glass of wine as soon as I walk in the door.
Yeah. No shit,
like literally I'm walking in the door, I'm drinking. And then there's other days where I'm like, if I don't go for a run or if I don't go eat a hamburger, whatever I feel like needs to help me through that day, I will. That's true. That's another thing I feel like for everybody. Sometimes those little vices get you through.
That's true.
Whatever it may be, sometimes it just helps. Even if it's sitting alone in the car, listening to music by yourself.
I go sit in a tree. I go disappear to the Adirondacks for 3 days. Or
exactly. And you get to recharge and reboot. So, but there are many small victories to be made. I feel like, within this year and beyond, especially because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're going to have extra this or time or whatever. Jeff, there are so many small victories to be made. And I love what you said about finding that 1% of your time during the day. I feel like there's so much that you can do to add on to that victory. So at night you can say, I had an accomplishment.
That's right.
Something went
14, 15 minutes doesn't seem like a lot in perspective, but it could be a lot in a lot of things if you did it every day.
Absolutely.
And that's I think, that's something I've taken away is finding that 15 minutes to do something with. And it literally sometimes is planning a better day. Like when I could sit with my phone and calendar and look at what I've got to do. And also, this is important for a lot of people is what am I not doing? What do I need to fill in those gaps? That's really that I should be doing that I'm not. But when I can look at it, it makes me focus on the business for a second instead of just running in it.
Right.
And when you run in it, sometimes you don't even know what the hell happened that day.
No, when you're in the wheel, when you're the hamster in the wheel, and I think this is a lot of the pre-2020 stuff, my family included. Sometimes I feel like I would just drive kids around, make dinner. I try to coach some clients and talk to my husband, and it would be like this. I just got through the day. I'm a mom robot, right?
That's how you feel.
That's how you fucking
and unappreciated.
Feel. And it's like all of a sudden, it's like, wait a second, hold on. the rules have changed a little bit right now. Things are different. And we can start to process different, I feel like. And why not get a hold of that now, guys? Get a hold of that process. Find those little small wins, the gifted time, the time that you can pencil in different in your day.
Yeah.
Right? Why not reinvent your own stuff now?
And I think hearing other people's small wins drives others.
Totally.
And I think, I think we want to kind of put a challenge out to whoever's listening to this, whether it's now or you listen to this and it's 6 months from now and you're coming back to this episode, is we would love to know, like, what is your small win? Like, what's that? Because it should be celebrated. If you have no one to celebrate it, we'll
celebrate you. I want to celebrate your small wins. When Jeff told me the story about his son, I literally brought tears to my eyes and I said, Jeff, do you realize what just happened? And he sat back and I saw the tears in his eyes and he was like, I didn't really even think of it until this now. And talking about it, doesn't it feel so good to see that win? And
it does, but I had to let my man card down a little bit.
The man card's down. It's done.
It's like, whatever. Because it's an ego thing. Like, we're so freaking ego driven. And it's a look, fortunately we have this mindset to drive us, right? If it doesn't, we can't do what we do. But at the same time, without any balance, because the balance, like if we talk about this balance, there is really no perfect balance, is there? It's always like a little bit which way.
Absolutely, one way or the other.
Yeah, so I've got to find just a way to get more like this instead of just like holding them up.
And that, for that moment, you went like this.
I was here, right?
And then
I was okay there. Yeah, I was okay there.
And you enjoyed it, and it felt good. And so, guys, your small wins, we want to hear about them because we want to celebrate them. We want to celebrate you and those small victories because they do add up. And I'm telling you, they're going to change the way you look and feel about yourself and your business and your home life. Yep. I mean, listen, even if we come on here weekly and we're talking about the small wins and you can go out there and say, wait a second, I had a small win today. You know, I made my bed. Right. I got up and I made my bed, which there are a lot of statistics that say if you just make your bed,
completion of
it's something. That's
right. It's
something to start the day off. And you know, whatever, I took a walk and in that 30 minutes, I had some peaceful moments to myself. Well, to me, that's a small win. You got to exhale, breathe.
Yeah, breathe.
Right? How often do you just take a moment to just breathe?
Not unless the awareness has to kick in.
Exactly.
Like, holy crap, I better start breathing that. Like, or you'll see, like when things are ready to explode and my face is all red.
Right. Exactly.
But I think I think that becomes like the moral of like this story is, leverage your 1%, find your 1%.
Yeah.
What can you do with it? Like, what's something big you can do with it?
Yes.
Find small wins. And even if you're like, this small win thing, even if it's in your subconscious and you might be like, in the middle of the day, you might be like, you know what, damn, that small win thing, that was one of them. Even if it's your awareness of it to just in your own brain and you don't feel like sharing it yet, which you'll get over that. We'll break it out of you.
It'll come out sooner or later.
Hence the name breaking.
Exactly.
Break it out of you.
Break it out, man. Break it out.
Pull the hardcore Italian out of me.
Me too. I got it.
The Italian.
I got it.
We'll break it. I think that's kind of a where we need to do is focus on the small wins, leverage your 1%, find your, what was your term? You said found my moment. Was it my moment or my memory?
You owned your moment.
I own my moment. Is a really thing. Own your moment. What is that moment?
Yeah.
Even if it's like, one a week or whatever the hell it is, just figure out what the hell it is.
Right.
And if you don't have one, maybe you go find one.
Right. And those moments that I feel like something you stumbled upon, Jeff, being in that dark parking lot, seeing the two ends of things, seeing the kids' dedication and seeing your own appreciation.
Yeah.
Two things in one. Those moments are all around us, guys. They truly are. There are opportunities everywhere. And it sounds cliche, but it's the truth. And there are moments within your family. There are moments where having a dinner with your children and making it a priority. There are moments that, you have a great call at work with a professional and you can get off the phone and take a nice deep breath and say, I did that. I challenged myself to do something different. Those are the moments, and feeling it. I think another big thing, and we're talking about these small victories, these wins, is actually feeling it, not getting back on the wheel and just going. When you can actually sit there and process and be in that, it almost as if it lets you be open to more.
Kind of allowing what I used to buck the system on all the time, because I
Mhm.
was a non-believer. This would be another whole topic that I won't go down, but allowing the universe to happen, like allowing the universe to
Absolutely.
deliver it, right?
That was the
And
universe
we
delivering
will talk about
your
that in a
your
different day.
thing. And I truly believe that law of attraction.
All
So
right.
hey, we all have it, folks. It's all here right in front of us if we want it. I
All
believe
right.
we do.
So look, great first show. Hopefully there's some nuggets in here. Hopefully you guys share some stuff with us.
Yeah.
We got so many fun things to talk about. If you see the lineup of things we're going to talk about,
We got a lot.
and the banter and the fun stuff and the
Mhm.
balance that we're going to have or not have.
Mhm.
But listen, thanks for joining us on the first show.
I'm so excited,
It was a great
Jeff.
wrap. Me too.
I'm pumped.
So we'll hopefully see you